What's up, everybody? It's Goddess Z, and I'm here with another podcast episode on Holistic and Spiritual AF. Welcome back, fam. I appreciate every one of you tuning in each week to hear the podcast episodes. This podcast wouldn't be what it is without you and the guests. All right. So, thank you so much. If this is your first time landing on this podcast, you are definitely in the right spot. If you like topics such as how to connect with your ancestors, how to access your divine feminine codes. We talk about esoterics, metaphysics, just a little bit of a variety of the things that you can actually start to include in your life to just live a higher vibratory life, or maybe to help to heal and integrate some shadow work, all that good stuff. Okay, so this podcast airs every Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On the first and the third Friday of the month, I have a guest coming in sharing their wisdom and their expertise. On the second and the fourth, I come in with my downloads and transmissions. And so today is the first Friday of the month. I'm going to be sitting down with Sanaa Green for episode 81, which is Priestess Awakening, Belly Dancing, and Energy Healing. Okay, so Sanaa Green is an embodied starseed who guides awakened women to embody the priestess within through nature, quantum healing hypnosis technique, and belly dance. She has activated women and taught sacred belly dance for nearly 20 years and leads transformational experiences rooted in embodiment, ancestral connection, and spiritual expansion. All right. So, in this conversation, we're going to be talking about goddess and priestess histories and what they mean for us, belly dance as somatic healing and womb activation, star seeds and their mission, especially for Black women awakening now, Reiki and energy healing as tools for embodiment and alignment. So, we're also going to talk about returning to the body, reclaiming spiritual authority, and what it means to truly live as a priestess in your everyday life. Sanaa also hosts a sacred retreat in Ghana, guiding women into deeper ancestral connection and embodiment in the Volta region, a place deeply personal to her lineage. Okay. So be sure to check out the description on this podcast episode, okay? Because she's got a free gift for the listeners and the community. It's going to be the 3 pillars of embodied authority. That's going to be down in the description, as well as how to connect with her at centerherpower.com and all her Facebook and Instagram and all that good stuff as well as the information about the retreat. So definitely lots of goodies down in the description this time. And of course, you always know you can find my stuff down there as well. And without further ado, let's get into today's episode. All right. So, welcome, Sanaa. I really appreciate you agreeing to do this podcast episode with me. I'm really excited to have you on the podcast. Just talking to you briefly, I know this is going to be another good one. And I know my audience is going to love you as well because you're well versed in a wide variety of different topics as it pertains to African centered spirituality, divine feminine, priestess energy, and how to embody all of that. And you're a coach with it too. So, I know that you do a lot. I've got all that stuff down in your description, and you guys can check her out at her website. But for now, I just kind of want to open up a little bit and have you tell us a little bit about yourself, like how this journey got started for you. Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me, Goddess Z. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm honored to have been asked. Um, well, I have been on this path since 1997 when my father passed away. My father passed away in 1997, and I could feel him around. I could still sense him. And so I was really curious, and I wanted to figure out what is going on? How can I still feel him around? And that started my metaphysical journey. I first started through the church. I was going to a Christian church, and I knew I was having some type of spiritual experience. And I went to the church first to see if they could guide me. And when I went to this Baptist church that I was going to at the time, I was living in Brooklyn at the time, and I was going to a church taking a class on spirituality and spiritual life gifts. And I asked to speak to the pastor of the church. They said, "Oh well, the pastor's too busy. He can't speak to you, but you can speak to this other person, this the supportive this associate minister." So I went in and met with the minister, and she said, "Oh well, I really only have about 5 minutes, so I'm just going to pray with you, and then we can, then that'll be it." So I said, "Okay, that is clear. This path, my spiritual journey, is not going to be led by the Christian church as I have known it." So So then I was just praying, and I was still, but because I was raised in a Christian household. I sang in the choir. My stepfather was a gospel musician. My mother sang all the time. So I was singing and meditating and asking for God to show me my purpose. And when I got the idea of a healer. I was like, healer? I can't be no healer. I don't want to touch nobody.
You thought you was gonna be laying hands, literally.
And I do. I am a Reiki master.
Right.
Um, but that's not the primary thing. And so then I was wanting to learn more. So I started to study Black Hat sect tantric Buddhist feng shui. There was a professional training course in New York City that I attended, and that was really eye opening. It really broadened my concept of spirituality, of all the spirits that exist, of how religion fits into spirituality and the spiritual container that we live within. And then I thought, okay, I'm going to be a feng shui practitioner. And then I realized I didn't really like going to people's houses, and I didn't like all the pulling all the charts, and I didn't really love all of that. So I said, okay, well, then I'll be a Reiki practitioner. I'm going to set up a Reiki business. And so I took Reiki, went to Sedona, did a training course, and I couldn't really launch the Reiki business because I was so emotional. Taking Reiki, actually, it unleashed a lot of the feelings that I was feeling about my father's death, and I was grieving. I had moved, and I had left the job, and there were just so many major shifts that I just really was not in a space where I could show up for others. So that whole say I'm going to quit this job. I used to work in advertising. I'm going to quit the job. I'm going to totally transform my life and totally live a holistic life. That really didn't work out in the way in the way I thought it was going to work out. And now I'm realizing that all of the things that seemed as if they were things for me to there were failures or things for
Mhm.
me not to take a look at. At one point I'm like, well, I can't do that because of something that happened or didn't happen. And now in these years that we're in this time that we're in now, we're in this time of great turning where many people are awakening to their spiritual gifts, and many systems are breaking down. Our basic systems of government and patriarchy
Mhm.
really are breaking down, which is why we're at war and why we're starting war, because that's an energy that the beings who have been controlling the planet really want to maintain. And so many people are waking up that is difficult for them to maintain it, so they're trying their best to create havoc and and fuel this war energy so that we are confused and off center. The good thing is that um, we will win. The light, the the earth wants to be a loving, creative space,
Yes.
and the beings who live here, and she wants the beings who live here to be lovingly creative too. So those who want to stay on the earth as she transcends will be lovingly creative. Those who don't will ascend to another, will go to another place, another reality, another dimension.
Mhm.
So that's kind of how I got to where I am now. And
I love it though. I was thinking, wow, I was like, we dove into it. Like, but I love that. I loved the beginning of your start. Like from you use that religious background to push you on your seeking journey, and I like how you talked about the different phases. I think those of us who've got experience with when we're searching around, seeking, trying to figure out who we are and what's what, we think everything that we learn is what we're supposed to be doing. So I can relate
exactly.
to that tremendously. But it was all good, development. It was all a part of our development process. So yeah, I love that. And I love how you jumped right on into where we are today. As far as rise of the divine feminine, the destruction of the patriarchal construct, and the things that everybody can relate to, that's happening on the news, and like you said, why we are at war now. And you also came in with the cosmic knowledge of, but we win. Like, as far as the spiritual war, we win that. You know what I'm saying? And I love that. And so I'm really excited to conversate with you, you know. Now I know when we were talking before, you said you wanted to do a quick little reading and before we
Yes.
got started. So I would love it if you could do that for us.
Okay, great. So this is the African Starseed Oracle deck. This is a deck I created, and the deck was created based on what I understood about my growth and involvement in my spiritual life, who I am as a spirit. And so I like to pull a card, and then we can kind of speak from if
The
what
order.
card, possibly whichever card comes up.
I love that. And I got to make sure I get your deck too. I'm due for another deck.
Oh, good, good. So
Yeah.
it's sold out right now, and so
Okay.
I'm taking a wait list. So if you, I can actually put you on the wait list, and so when it's back in stock, I can be sure and make sure you get it.
That's beautiful. I love that. And this is a perfect deck too. Like, I need this one. Oh, I love it. I love the illustrations. They're beautiful. I'm looking at your website right now. Let me put this up here so y'all can see.
Okay.
Y'all get on the wait list too.
Okay. So this the card the so actually several cards came up. One is fertile ground,
Okay.
fertile ground. And this card is actually alerting us that whatever it is you're working on, whatever it is you would like to experience and like to manifest, that this is the time when you can focus and manifest. Whatever it is you're doing, the possibilities are limitless
Mm,
for that. The other card that wants to come up too is this card, this Yogini card.
okay.
Now, the Yogini are a group of priestesses that existed in India, and they were the connection to the divine, to the earth, to women, and they were spiritual leaders in the community. And they danced, they did yoga, and they understood that embodying the divine included movement, and it included sacred understanding of your connection to the earth. So those are the two cards that want to be presented today.
Okay. I love that. I love that. Immediately when I saw that first one, what's that card again?
Fertile ground.
Yep, I needed that. I needed that for me, and I thought about the Empress card when I saw that. And based on what your oracle described, that's what I got out of it too. Because, like I was mentioning earlier, I got some not so good news,
Okay.
but it was the thing that pushed me into where I needed to be, and I needed that message because that's literally what it was saying. You know, it's like the possibilities are unlimited. So
Hmm.
thank you for that. So
Hmm.
how long have you when did you create your deck?
It was created in 2023 and 2024, and interestingly enough, it really, I had the idea to create it several years before, but I had just sold my family house and I was distraught. I didn't want to have to sell it. I wasn't living in it, but I didn't want to have to sell it. So I ended up selling the family house, and it just cleared some space. And then I started doing quantum healing hypnosis technique, and that cleared space. So I guide people through quantum healing hypnosis. However, it's really healing and revealing and clearing for me as a practitioner as well.
Hmm.
So once those two things happened, then I was able to launch the deck. And actually, the deck has some of the cards reflect some of what I've learned through quantum healing hypnosis from other that I did with other people or for other people. And some of it is my experience of my life where that couldn't quite make tangible, but I had I had a feeling, or had memories of other lives. I've experienced other lives in past life regression, and then I was able to create the deck.
I love it. So tell us about the quantum healing hypnosis. Like, how does that actually work for a person?
This is so wonderful because I think that especially Black women, who are on the path of the healer, one of the things that I think is really important for us to remember, and it may be true for all women. I don't, you know, I believe it's true for all women, but for Black women particularly, many of us walk with um, a woundedness.
Mhm.
We were born in a time where, like my mother, for example, was born in a small southern town in the Jim Crow South during the Depression.
Mhm.
So, and she was a cotton picker.
Mhm.
So all of those things that impacted her impacted me, because all of the embryos that a woman has are present in the fetus when the fetus is in utero. And my grandmother's father had been enslaved. So there's a lot happening. There was a lot
Mhm.
of shared or a lot of generational traumas that were passed on in utero. So for a lot of women who are on the spiritual path, Black women who are on the spiritual path, we are the uh, um, we are the awakened ones who are here to really heal. We're healing through generations. So a lot of what we're healing is not just what we're doing for ourselves, but we're also doing it for our family lines. So what I realized in quantum healing hypnosis is a number of my clients actually went to lives where they were enslaved or lived in Africa, or and one particular experience that I have never forgotten. There was a woman who came into a life during this quantum healing hypnosis technique. You don't know if you're going to go into another life, if you're going to stay in this life, or maybe you'll be just in colors where your mind can rest. In this particular situation, she actually went to a life where she was had just given birth. She had just given birth, and then this white man came and took the baby from her, and she was so terribly upset about it, and came to find out that this white man, because during the time of enslavement, a lot of the men who had farms, they believed in growing slaves, so they would impregnate women on who lived on the farm, and they would put men and women together so that
Mhm.
they would have babies, so that because there was a time when the during the transatlantic slave trade, when um, it was difficult to get slaves, to get Africans here on this continent, so they were growing slaves. And the woman actually was ended up being it ended up that she had been married to a man who was one of the children that was taken from her when she
Mhm.
was enslaved, and she was really trying to help him in this life. But he turned out it turned out to be a toxic relationship. And so it seems to me like he was reacting to being given away or not having his mother, and she was also reacting to having been taken away and feeling sorry and trying to mend what had happened
Mhm.
that she had no control over. So a lot of what we're experiencing in our current lives, whether it's relationships, jobs, whatever it is, it's it's often rooted in something that has happened in another life, in another time. And and for us as women of color, it's really important to acknowledge what has happened so that we can heal it, so that we really can help to pull our communities into a situation where we can evolve and heal and be our best and brightest selves.
Absolutely. Yeah, we talk about that a lot over here. We talk
Mhm,
about that trauma is stored in our DNA. I like how you talked about the embryos, like being inside of the womb, and that we're still connected to all the embryos and inside of the mother. I like never thought about it that way, but that explains a lot. You touch on all of those memories and traumas and so yeah, absolutely. We talk about that a lot. So the quantum healing, that's why I like to have this podcast, like, for Afro Indigenous women because of what you just described. There's a tremendous amount of trauma that's stored in that we're just now getting to a place where we can start to openly heal this in different ways besides the church.
Hmm.
So I think that's important work that you're doing. Something else that I talk about, and I don't know if you've had any experiences on the quantum healing side of this, but not only do we have those traumas stored inside of us, we also have the gifts and the power of the ancestors that came before, because before the transatlantic slave trade, we were doing some amazing things, on the planet. So have you had any experience with that, or like, what's your take on that?
Yes, what you're saying is so true. One of the things you can do through quantum healing hypnosis is to reclaim and reconnect with your powers, your intuitive gifts and your powers from the quantum field. So really, we talk about past lives, but actually, I think it's probably more true that we are living other lives concurrently in other dimensions.
Mhm.
So we have the capacity to, once you have that awareness, then we can move to another timeline and recapture or see ourselves. And that was really one of the reasons why I wanted to do past life regression, is because I wanted to see myself as a priestess. I wanted to see myself as big, as more capable and powerful than I was imagining, and then I was seeing myself in my current life. So I thought that if I could go to another timeline, that I could see that, and it did happen that way. And so that's true. It's not just it's not just trauma that we can connect with. We can also connect with um, all of the resources that we have within us.
Yeah, I love that. But I do think it that the healing is definitely the first part.
Hmm.
Because that's the blockages. Like, so if there's things blocking us from accessing that, the healing is still necessary. So I love that though, seeing yourself as a priestess. Definitely, I love seeing those higher versions. But you know what? Like I said, I'm big on my ancestors. Um, so I connect with my bloodline ancestors, as I call them, as well as my cosmic family as well. I call them cosmic family. Some people say star seeds, all of those higher ascended, whatever. It's all the same. So I know that your title here, you're a multi-dimensional embodiment guide. You've already been dropping quite a bit of metaphysics on us. Tell us your take on the star seeds and how that connects to our ancestral lineage.
Really? But now, what is your connection to the cosmic? Do you mind
Cosmic
me
mind.
asking? Yeah.
I, I stay cloaked, if that makes any sense, but I'll
Okay.
definitely tell you afterwards for
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Um, yeah. So the where to start? Where to start?
Well, I will say this. I'll drop a little hint of like serious B. So I will
Hmm.
drop that hint and then I'll tell you the rest later.
Hmm. Yeah. Um, yeah, I would definitely respect that. I respect that. S- This deck, the African Starseed Oracle deck, which is the subtitle is the Serious Influence. And the Serious Influence, I put that in because I had done some research and I knew that the Sirius was a star system that had been studied by Africans, and I knew that it was studied by the Egyptians, and that Aset or Isis was connected to Sirius, and also the Dogon of Mali, which is well, we say Mali, but the Dogon actually are a tribe in Africa that have been studying the Sirius star system for thousands of years, and they it's they're known. They say that they're of Mali, but actually the Dogon tribe. When you look at pre-colonialist Africa, before it was segmented by Europeans, the Dogon actually spanned a number of which would be a number of countries, including Mauritius, Ghana, northern Ghana, and other parts of Africa, Burkina Faso. So, and actually the Dogon. I don't know if you're familiar with Malidoma Somé. Elder Malidoma Somé wrote a book. What's that book called? Anyway, he created the Dagara spiritual traditional system, and he created the system because it was really based on some of the things that he had learned, but he actually was taught not to learn his traditional African spirituality because he was acculturated and schooled in Catholic schools. And then he came to the U.S. and created this spiritual traditional system. So I wonder if he was actually connected to Sirius too on another life. Um, I believe that the reason that I consider myself a starseed is because I know that I've lived other lives on other planets. And if you look at the soul is eternal.
Mhm.
It's an offshoot. It's a part of God, and that the soul lives and exists in multiple dimensions and has lived in a lot of different capacities, whether it was a human or a Syrian. It's happened in um, our soul lives in multiple places, and some people are aware and are becoming aware of our connection to other star systems. And and I first, when I thought about star seeds, I was like, I'm I feel so connected to the earth, and I feel connected to my ancestors, and I'm not an alien like R2D2. And I went online, and there was this one woman who was like, doing like an R2D2. I'm like, no, that's not me. But then what I realized is that actually the Arcturians are a race of or beings from the planet Arcturus, and they have been working with those who are on mission, who are beings who have agreed to come to the earth, to incarnate on the earth, to help change the human condition from the inside, so that the earth can ascend, and so that the ripples of negative emotion and warlike energy won't continue to be impacting the rest of the universe.
Mhm.
So the Arcturians have helped me to recall during dream time. They um, give you little tidbits of information to help you recall your connections to your ancestors, and to the stars. So that is what happened to me, and so I'm still evolving in what I have learned and am learning through the Arcturians. I'm not um and so I'm not necessarily, I'm not really connect I'm not I wouldn't say that I'm connected. Well, I am connected to the Arcturians, but I've also initially started on another planet in another star system.
Okay.
When my life first came into awareness, when I left the source and came into awareness, I came into awareness apart from the source to experience life in another star system. So um, the the point is not for us to wait for beings from other planets to come in and save us. Some people have said that. The point is not for beings from other planets to come in like a invasion and take over. This period of evolution that we're in right now is really important, and it's being watched all over the universe because the souls are transforming their whole way of understanding life and their connection to their ancestors, connection to life on other planets. And the Starseed is one who has come here on a mission to help be the change from the inside, from as a human to change from the inside. I mean, there may be some who say that they're actually maybe an Arcturian in body. However, my experience is that I recall a life that I have lived, or lives I have lived on other planets. However, I am completely human,
Right.
and just like I lived in Lemuria. My lineage, my physical lineage, my genetic lineage is through Madagascar. my maternal lineage is through Madagascar. So I'm connected. Madagascar was where part of where Lemuria existed,
Mhm.
and so I'm a part of that priestess line. So that's my connection to Africa, to Arcturus and Andromeda and Lemuria, and so now my task is to integrate, and that's really for me, that's what it is. It's not about stepping aside and saying, because I'm from this particular
Oh
planet,
no.
that I have these particular gifts. Some people feel like that, that's kind of their way of understanding.
Mhm.
But the reality is that we are multidimensional beings. We were created that way, and we existed that way in the past, and then on the earth, and then things just fell apart, and so life had to civilizations had to end, and then new life had to start, and so now we're reconnecting our DNA strands so that we can exist in an interdimensional way.
I love that. Well said. Well said. Bravo. And and it's accurate. When you think about this, the rise and the fall of humanity and the consciousness of humanity, this isn't the first time.
Mhm,
We're at another time when, like you said, right now, especially as many star seeds as that are here at the same time, and many people who are what I call a remembrance, a reclamation. It's like a aha. This has always been here. It's for a purpose, like you
mhm,
said, there's no way to be like, oh, I'm elite. I have ascended, I have rise. No, we're here to kind of usher in a new earth. So yeah, and it's kind of the ascension process too that you explained. And some people need a little assistance from some older souls to do that. So I totally agree with you, right there with you the whole way, because I'm like, yep, yep, yep. And I know some of my audience may still be with you. Some of them may be a little like, huh, this may be too far advanced for me. But this is why I always say in my episodes to connect with your bloodline ancestors first, because like you described, you're coming from Madagascar, how you were able to connect to your cosmic family through your indigenous lineage first. And then you were able to connect. Now I will say this, I've done some research on what I can gather from my family history because it's fragmented, like so many of us is. But I do know that I was born into this family.
mhm,
That I do know that my bloodline lineage is, I came here to help break the generational trauma and cycles in this particular family. They had lost their way, but I don't belong to this family. And that honestly was healing for me because I
I
always
bet.
felt from a little girl, I always felt like the outsider, like I just didn't quite fit in. Like, what's wrong with me? And that she's over here somewhere, they're over there.
Mhm.
But mission accomplished in what I came to do. And it makes total sense. Like when I found that out, I was like, I was like, well, I guess I don't have any reason to be like sad and stuff like that. They're like, you came there to elevate that family and to usher in a new humanity and earth. So yeah, and that they kind of look at me like they just don't understand me. And I say this all the time. I'm like, they look at me like I come from a different planet.
Mine too. Mine too. Well, eh, I think what happened is, I think the generations of not understanding and remembering who we are have really impacted how my family looks at me, because sometimes they do look at me like they're not quite sure. They don't really look at me as like, okay, she's one of us. If there are a few people who do, but yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
That was really wonderful that you found that out.
Yeah, it was. It was healing, and
Hmm.
but and like you described, it kept me in constant communication and contact with my ancestors and my cosmic family and my spirit guides and the whole spiritual council, which is very true to the nature of who I am and where I come from.
Hmm.
So yeah, I've got this solid relationship with my ancestors since from like the time I was a little girl, and got this huge, I call them entourage and spirit gang that just follow me everywhere. And that's who I've been with like consistently throughout my life, not so big on outsiders and people, but it makes sense. It didn't in the beginning before we got to this phase, like you just described, where the veil is lifting, people are remembering, more of our gifts are coming online, we're being visited more. Um, but yeah, now it's like, okay, everything had to happen the way it had to happen because you are weird, concerned, considering what most people are used to. Like, this is weird for people. So,
You know what? But I've always, even before I realized who I am cosmically, I've never really fit in.
hmm
So people have always kind of looked at me as if I'm the other. And then some people just look at me and they love me, and some people look at me like I'm the other. And and it's okay, because what I'm realizing is that um, we have so many ancestors, and just like now where you get a group who are family, and they go off and they're kind of with each other, but maybe they're not connected to your great uncle's family or something like that, and they form their own bonds, and the things, and do things in a particular way. um like I know that um one of my someone who was connected to my family, not an ancestor, but at one point that particular person was like the Elohim, and and fell. So that kind of explained why he was who he was and existed the way he existed.
Interesting. And I love this that we're even having this conversation. And it's really nice to have this conversation with another Black woman. But I know that, like, so how is that received when you have people come to you? I'm guessing that people that come to you have to be ready. They have to be called. They're not beginners. Like, at what level and stages are these people that come to you for your coaching?
It varies. It's interesting because at one point, when I did a Reiki class, and I had a number of students who came through the class, and they wanted help with moving forward with their Reiki practice, and so that's one group. And then there are people who buy the Oracle deck, who find me because of the Oracle deck, and they love the Oracle deck, and so they come from that perspective. Generally, I ask questions of a person first before just figuring out how best to speak to them. And one of the ways that and I don't, in my impression, I'm not pushing anyone who's destined to work with me. They will come, and it'll be fine if we're destined to work together. So I work in different capacities, and it just kind of depends on where a person is coming from and what comes up. I generally allow people to ask me what they want to know. And so when people come to me for quantum healing hypnosis, they may not be interested in past lives. They may just want to know something that happened in this current life. Like I had a person who came who had a memory from childhood, and wanted to figure out what that memory was. So it works perfectly fine if you don't, if you don't want to delve into that aspect of yourself, you don't have to. Um, and so yeah, the people who come to me are those um, who want to see themselves as a part of a larger um, collective. With belly dancing, that's generally a way that I connect to people. That's very straightforward. I mean, I'm teaching belly dance as if it is the dance of the priestess, as if it is a sacred act, because I understand how the moving of the pelvis, and helps connect us to the earth, and how that type of connection was was demonstrated through dance in ancient priestess lineages. I mean, just in Africa, when you look at African dance, the Africans, use their pelvis a lot, and belly dance actually was originated in Africa. So, so that's a way. So I don't. It just kind of depends. There's a way to speak about things that doesn't go into the full depth of it, but I can all so I like to speak my truth, and
Yeah. Yeah.
so hopefully your people won't be like, oh, she's, but
Oh yeah. They
but then they may be feel that way, and then they may also feel I may also have said something that sparked an awareness and
right.
awakenings, and that's a part of my role, is to activate.
Absolutely. And that's
Hmm.
exactly what you're supposed to do. Like,
Hmm.
don't shy or dim away from who you are at all. Like, yeah, we want you to be fully embodied on this podcast episode. So, yeah. And that's the whole point, is knowing that. I like the way you described it, because sometimes when people ask that question, it's loaded. It's like, so what do you do? Like it's a job thing, and it's like, yeah, it kind of varies spirit to spirit, soul to soul. Like, what am I picking up when I meet this person, and what's going on with them, and what are their goals? So yeah, that was very well described. So I know one of the things that you do that really struck my interest is that you take trips to Africa and retreats and things like that. Tell us about that, like how that got started, like what you guys do when you get over there. Is this your first one? All that good stuff.
Yeah, I've been teaching belly dance since 2007, but this is my first sacred dance retreat. And so I've done day experiences where we're in a garden and we danced, and I talk about belly dance as a healing modality,
Mhm.
and how it activates the chakras, how it can help you to merge past and present within your body, and also to ease hot flashes, and to have a sense of groundedness and stability. Like shimmying is a great way to ground yourself. Like if you're having a difficult day at work, you can just go into the bathroom and just shimmy, and that can help you to feel more grounded. So belly dance, I do a flat-footed, earthy style of belly dance that was taught to me as an African dance form. And I started belly dancing when I lived in the Washington D.C. area, and there were a lot of belly dancers at that time, Black belly dancers who were teaching. And so I had some great teachers, and we used a lot of African rhythms, a lot of the rhythms in belly dance belly dance is danced all over the world, and so a lot of the rhythms that are used are Egyptian. A lot of the people who live, like for example, I know someone, the Ga people actually migrated from not the God, but they migrated from Israel. But there are people during the Bantu expansion who moved from Northern Africa to Western Africa. So a lot of the things, so even though belly dance is considered a Middle Eastern dance, it actually is from the continent of Africa, Egypt. Um, and so we're going to Ghana, and this is going to be a chance to really give women, create this container, which I've always wanted to do, where we could take this dance and utilize it to help women to evolve and transform. Now, when in an hour class, it's different. There's only so much you can do in an hour and a half class, but we're going to have an African naming ceremony, and then we're going to the Volta region, where I actually have a connection because my father's ashes are buried in that region. And so for me, this is really kind of a coming home, because my father's ashes are buried there, and I'm connected to my father. Even though he's an ancestor, he's guiding me to go there and look up and he was a part of a community that was building, that was developing a parcel of land in that region, in the eastern region of the country. So that's something that I'm going to be doing personally. That's where I'll be personally, but not everyone needs to participate in that. But
Right.
this will be a time for belly dance. We'll do some nature focused activities. I have been an environmental educator and will be utilizing what I've learned as an environmental educator, what I learned from Maladoma Somé and the elemental ritual training that I did with him, and the feng shui. And so all of it is going to be coming together. And women are going to have the opportunity to not only experience Accra, Ghana, the capital city, but also have a personal transformation and reclamation of themselves as they dance on the motherland. And it'll look different for each person based
Mhm.
on what it is they are bringing with them and wanting to know and understand about themselves and where they want to go in their lives. So in my mind, this was a culminating event. And but you don't have to have gone through the other embodiment coaching in order to do that. So this particular retreat is going to be at a beautiful 4-star resort. We're going to dance. We're going to experience Ghanaian culture, and and I'm feeling called to do it. I've wanted to do retreats, but now is the time. And
Yeah,
so anybody who participates will have a phenomenally transformational experience on their in their basic heart, in their bodies, and in their spirits, and with their ancestors.
I love that. That's beautiful, and that's what I saw. And I was telling my daughter the other day, I was like, I'm going to Africa. I was like, it's time,
You should
like
come
it's
with us.
I know. I was like, I want to go. I was like, but I don't want to go by myself. I was like, I want a guide, somebody that knows, where they're going and stuff like that. So yeah, so I may check it out. When are you guys going?
October
Late.
9th through the
Okay, that's some
16th.
time. That's some
Mm-hmm.
time.
Mm-hmm.
I am
Yeah.
transitioning right now. I just started another business and transitioning um out of my job. So I want to go to Africa this year. That's what I said. And she was like, "Well, where would you go?" And so of course Ghana was on my list. So and it sounds like what you guys are doing are going to be really good. And the belly dancing, do you offer that now with your services? Is that in person or online?
So for those who will be participating in the retreat, I'm going to be recording belly dance classes, so you'll be able to learn some of the basic movements so that you can utilize them in the session. And then if also for those who want to, they can get a quantum healing hypnosis technique session before they go if they want to, which will open up awareness and just poise you for an even greater transformation. And especially if you're in the process of stepping into another aspect of your life or of a business, there's things to be shed, and
Mm.
then there are gifts that are available for
Yeah.
you that you probably already know about. And when you do the quantum healing hypnosis, then couple that with the dance, it can really be grounded within you so that you can move forward with those gifts in a way that you can be the most effective. So the name of my business is In the Center of Her Power, so you can move forward in the center of your power.
Yes. Yep, and that's what's going on. I'm definitely working really closely with my paternal ancestors right now. They're very grounded, they're very practical, It's not like the maternal side or my emotional side. But yeah, so there's some things that are like you said are being shed and it's just work. It's kind of like a boot camp thing like going on inside of me. I feel like, that is prepping me for this next phase, which was now we're moving into generational wealth. We did the generational healing and now we're going into the other side. And so yeah, it's work. It's work and warm work. But yeah, that sounds really good. Tell us about your business. Tell us how we can find you, the services that you offer. You already told us about the retreat. I know my audience is going to want to look you up and hopefully book some services with you.
Okay, well that'll be wonderful. That'll be wonderful. So I offer Reiki certification, Reiki 1 and 2 certification, and right now I'm doing it online. But I'm investigating doing a an online course too. So I can teach it online as well. And I teach belly dance. I just did a class this past week with a senior group of senior citizens.
I love that. I
And
love that.
they were so cute. They were like they had their scarves on and they were just moving and
They
they
probably
were
hadn't moved them hips in a while.
it was so, I mean, they were just so excited. And then in the middle of the class they would start talking and you would hear them
Mhm.
like little kids. It was so wonderful. I love my work. And so I do quantum healing hypnosis technique. I also do oracle card readings online and Reiki online. And then the program that I put together, the inner realm, is really combining all the things that I do for the person who really wants a reboot or really wants to activate their healing gifts. And so that will include the quantum healing hypnosis technique session, shadow work to integrate, and then another quantum healing hypnosis session. Because a lot of times what happens is, in my experience, you have the one session, stuff comes up. I had a person who did a session. She's been a practitioner for years, and she's in the process of shifting. She wants to do some things differently, and she had a quantum healing hypnosis technique session with me, and then she wrote a book. In 2 months time she wrote a whole book that really, it opened up space for her to make this shift, to write this out, to release, and to do this healing work for her family. And she's actually considering going on the retreat. So really, you kind of need time in between in order to root and ground the things that have come up. And then you need, you know and then I'm so it'll be, it's it's different for each person. And but the point is that you take these sessions and you help to ground them in your body through belly dance, through nature-based practices, so that you are standing more fully in the center of your power, because you are probably already doing wonderful things, and then you understand too that you could do more.
Right.
So so then the whole point is really integrating and embodying all that you have. So the tagline that I'm working with now is embody the priestess. Your wisdom is ready. Your wisdom is ready.
I love that. And that's perfect. I love how you talk about the integration. That is part of the work. It's not just all this grueling, stuff that we have to do. It's allowing it to surface. It's allowing us to, like you said, that's part of the embodiment phase. I love that. It's almost like you're doing the middle of what I do. I do the activating, the awakening. You're doing the integrating, the embodiment. I love that. So y'all heard what she said. Sanaa Green has blessed us with an amazing message today. Make sure that you check her out at her business, her center. No, centerherpower.com. And also, I'll have her contact information down in the description as always. And you know where to find me. And that is it, y'all. Until the next episode. Thank you so much, Sanaa.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Goddess Z.
Absolutely.